Welcome to the G.I. Joe New News Comics Review. I am David Allen, or if you would like, you can call me Super Dave 817. I would like you to like, share, and subscribe and hit the notification button if you would like to see more content like this. Thank you and enjoy.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the G.I. Joe New News Review. I am David Allen, or if you like, Super Dave. We are here to talk about Skybound, a little bit of a deep dive into what's been going on with Skybound over the last few months. We'll periodically do these episodes, these comic book reviews to get us up to date on what's happening in the G.I. Joe brand through Skybound and other news, because there are other things going on in the comic book realm with G.I. Joe, Transformers, Void Rivals, and so on and so forth. So I want to first off say thank you for everybody in the chat for joining me today, and also that there will be spoilers to G.I. Joe comics that have come out recently. So I want to make sure, if you have not read any of those G.I. Joe comics, Transformers, Void Rivals, and so on, that you may want to click off this video and take some time to get those comics first and read them before we go into those comics. So there's been a lot of news on G.I. Joe recently, and Transformers, in fact, and a lot of talk about combined universes and so on and so forth. And the G.I. Joe comics universe is the Energon universe by Skybound Comics, an imprint of Image Comics that started a few years ago, and they've really been ramping up, and there's a lot of really cool stuff that's coming up. They're going to be starting to do a series of, I guess, representations of old issues of G.I. Joe, the original G.I. Joe from the 80s that Larry Hama wrote. They're going to take key issues, they're going to represent them, they're going to give them some new covers. There'll also be a letter, kind of a little bit of a explanation as to what was going on in that issue and different things that were happening with the brand at the time by Larry Hama. A little bit of a discussion by him at the end of each of these issues. I think the first one that's coming out is like 25 or 26, one of those issues. And then there's issue, I think, 144. I think 144 is the next one. It's a Joe Colton story. And then after that is going to be issue 49, which is the first Serpentor issue in comics. In the Marvel comics from the 80s, they're going to be doing this representation, and those are the first three issues. I have not got any of those yet, so I cannot show them off to you, but they will be coming out soon, so look for those. They're pretty interesting. They sound interesting. I want to learn more about how Larry went about creating all this stuff, so the more information I can get, the better. So keep an eye out for those. They'll be through Skybound. And then I want to go into the next issue, is issue 321. And if you know anything about G.I. Joe, the very first issue 21 of the original series was the first silent issue, silent interlude. And we've gotten several silent issues after that. We got, I think, annual 3 might have been a silent issue, and I think there was a silent issue in the 90s that had to do with Storm Shadow and Zartan. And then there was the Devil's Due issue 21. Again, that was a silent issue. There may have been other stories here and there, but those are the ones that stand out to me. And then last spring, we got a whole month of silent issues, silent missions month. And they did a bunch of issues there, and they represented issue 21 again with new covers and things like that. So silent issues are no surprise to G.I. Joe fans. We've gotten a bunch of them, and they're all pretty decent. I enjoyed a lot of those silent missions ones. It got us a lot of new characters like Spirit, Roadblock, Duke, Jinx. I think that's it. Let's see. Spirit, Roadblock, Duke, Jinx, Beachhead, and Beachhead all had silent missions issues. They're all really interesting, all different tones, different coloring, and different art styles, but they're all really interesting. Phil Hester, I think Phil Hester did one of those. He's going to be at Assembly Required in a couple of weeks in Des Moines, Iowa. So if you want to see him and get your silent interlude issue signed, or some of his other work, Green Arrow and a whole bunch of other things that he's done over the years, he's going to be at Assembly Required, Codename Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa, on the 14th and 15th of this month. So I will not be attending this year because of work and other obligations that I could not get out of. So that's a shame, because I really enjoy that convention. It's a really fun convention. But Larry Hammond's going to be there as well. Ron Rudat's going to be there, and Ron Wagner's going to be there as well. And Larry and Ron both did G.I. Joe, the vintage G.I. Joe series, so you can get a lot of those comics signed. And I have over the last 4 or 5 years that I've met Ron Wagner, gotten a bunch of stuff signed. He also did Ninth Man. But I digress. Let's get back to G.I. Joe Silent. The silent issue number 321. Now we've gotten to 321, and we've hit a silent issue again. And this is an absolutely, it says on the cover, a new silent interlude, 300 issues in the making. And it's true. It was written by Larry Hama. Art is done by Chris Mooneyham, and the colors, and I'm mentioning the colors, and I usually don't mention the colors, but the colors are absolutely fantastic in this. So I'm going to mention the colorist, Francesco Segala. And if you look at this beautiful, absolutely beautiful color on this, the lighting is a little weird. Look at that. It is beautiful. It just jumps off the page for this. And there's an interesting vehicle you can see on that first page. Again, I want to illustrate, there are going to be spoilers in this episode. So there's a vehicle up there, and look at these colors. They are beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. They really have stepped it up with the coloring on G.I. Joe. But it says on this page here that vehicle is the aircraft experimental airship Melius Incas, Tympanic Up LLC. And so that's a really cool vehicle. We've never seen that vehicle. It's basically a like weaponized dirigible. You can kind of see in the corner there, it's a weaponized dirigible, and it's attacking the Joe headquarters with a sound type weapon, and so the Joes have to go in to stop this, and so they do, and it's Snake Eyes and Don Marino fighting this maniac guy here that's the pilot, the driver of the Melius Incus, and he's a little bit maniacal in this. You can see Snake Eyes and Don Moreno heading out to attack this challenge and see what they can do. And they do a pretty good job because, spoiler alert, they defeat the Malleus Incus and they bring them to bear in this uh, fa- fairly easy-handedly, I would say, but it's because you got two Snake Eyes, Don Moreno and Snake Eyes, and so there you go. They defeat the Malleus Incus, and then they um, take in the pilot and the co-pilot, and you see the explosion in the background there, and so this is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I love the coloring on this series, and I usually don't notice the coloring that much, but on this I really do. So then there's an ad for the Cold Slither demo. Uh, it says out now, so if you have a chance, get that Cold Slither um, demo. To buy exclusive Cold Slither music and merchandise, scan the QR code. There you go. RPM, rainingphoenixmusic.com. So there you go if you want to get the Cold Slither demo. All right, so then let's get into a little bit of the Silent Interlude. Silent Interlude was one of the very first comics that introduced the Arashikage, and it cemented a connection between Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow when it originally came out. And so that started that whole relationship. That didn't exist in the toys or in the cartoon Sunbow animated series in the 80s. Larry Hama established that continuity, and he's been delving deeper and deeper into that continuity ever since. And it's one of the biggest draws to the comics is that he created that. Larry Hama created the Arashikage and that symbol and connected Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes. So let's get on to our next comic. So we're going to go into the regular G.I. Joe, issue number 12. And there's all the variant covers there on the back of that issue. If you want to get all those different variants, you can. There's the Tom Riley cover there. There's the Andre Milano cover, which is B. Then there's the Alan Qua cover C. Then there's the Steve Epting cover D. And then the David Finch, Sandra Hope, and Adriano Lucas cover E. So those are all your covers there. So this is a really fun issue. It's called almost a one and done story, but it's a continuation of a theme that we've been getting for the last, 4 or 5 months since the Free Comic Book Day 2025 special, where they introduced kind of the Night Force faction of G.I. Joe, which is a subgroup of G.I. Joe that takes on missions that are a little too dirty for the main G.I. Joe team, kind of like a Black Ops team, the Night Force G.I. Joe. And so Flint and Lady J had to recruit Beachhead, which is right there, to the team. And now they're trying to recruit Shooter. And that's Shooter there with those guns. Really cool. Actually, those are bullets, not guns. They're bullets there. And so when they go to try to rescue her, she's in a bit of a predicament. So this issue is written by Joshua Williamson, and the art is done by Marco Fodera, and Lee Loffridge. All right. So we start off with Duke talking to Hawk, saying that he wants to take a bit of a break and he wants to go visit his friend that he lost in action, Graf. If you remember the Duke miniseries, Graf was his co-mate, co-pilot, or fellow buddy or whatever in the military, that they were flying jets and they got hit by spoiler alert again, Starscream, and killed Graf. And so he was on a mission to find out what that was all about. And then Hawk kind of enlisted him into the GI Joe team because he got too deep into it, and now he's now the sergeant, the field sergeant for the GI Joe team. Hawk had him join the team, so he's gonna go visit that friend that he lost, and then it goes to this mysterious castle in Darklonia, which, if you remember the Destro miniseries, Darklonia is where Darklon is, and at the very end of that, Darklon gets his mask. So more spoilers. So if you ever read the Destro miniseries with Darklon, go back and read that. So you see Beachhead, you see Flint and Lady J there trying to figure out where Shooter is. So then we go inside and we find Shooter in prison. And then she's dragged out by Darklon and his minions to go into a fight scenario where she has to try to fight to save her life. And so she's fighting this woman, Valkra. I think her name is Valkra. Let me see. Hold on. I think her name is Valkra. I want to make sure that I get that name right. Said her name. Now I can't find it. Give me a second while I find that character's name. Ivana, not Valkyra. Ivana is her name. So she ends up fighting her, and she beats her to pretty much an inch of her life. She drags her back to the cell, and she gets put back in there. So Shooter tries to talk her down and get her to help her try to escape, but she doesn't want to. She wants to kill her. And so then the Joes infiltrate. Yes, Terrence Childs, I have. Have you seen the G1 Joe crossover Transformers comics? Yes, I have. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us in the chat. So the Joes try to infiltrate the castle Darklonia to rescue Shooter, but she tells them that she didn't need to be rescued. She had it under control, and so they get her out of there. And she's trying to complete her mission. And it says here that she's trying to shoot somebody in the castle, and that's her mission, to assassinate somebody that's in the castle. And they're driving away in the Jeep, and Lady J says, "That's an impossible shot." And then Shooter says, "For you." And then she shoots, and Ivana is the one that she's targeting, and she kills Ivanova, or it appears that she kills Ivanova. And then we get some scenes with Destro and Cobra Commander talking about them rescuing Major Blood, who was left for dead by the Baroness and CoverGirl in the last issue. So they bring him from France and they recruit him into the Cobra ranks. And then Mercer tells Destro that they need to change their plans because the Joes have a transformer in their midst, and that is Hound with Clutch. And so they say they're going to have to adjust their plans. So they have to eliminate Cobra Commander. So they are talking about Ripper and the Dreadnoks and a plan that they have to try to abandon Cobra Commander. So the Dreadnoks can take out their revenge, because the Cobra Commander and the Cobra Commander miniseries kind of had Nemesis Enforcer chop off the arm of Buzzer. So they have a hankering for some Cobra Commander. And so that is the cliffhanger to issue number 13, which is the first part of the Dreadnought War with Cobra and G.I. Joe. Let's see. There's some interesting spotlight stuff in the Energon Experience page as well, talking about Shooter, character spotlight on her, the man behind the mask, Dark Lawn, and a creator spotlight on Marco Federa. So there's all kinds of interesting things in the back of each of these issues. And then there's a little bit of a snippet of Duke going out to see his friend in the desert. The guy, Grief, the guy that died, and he finds Cobra Commander and the Hiss tank out there chasing him. And it says continued in issue 13, and then there's an ad on the back of this issue, and it's the cliffhanger there. It says, "Who will survive the Dreadnought War? G.I. Joe 13." And it's a fold-out cover, so when you get that, it will be a two-fold cover. So that was a really fun issue. There's a lot going on there, a lot of interesting continuity and subplots building on multiple storylines that we've gotten over the last handful of issues. The Transformers involvement with G.I. Joe, the Cobra war with the Dreadnoks, Cobra Commander and Duke being out there and seeing what's going to happen with them. The whole Night Force subplot. Now we have 4 members, and it has already been leaked, revealed that there's going to be 2 new members of the cast of G.I. Joe, and that's going to be Roadblocks. So he's going to be probably the next member of the Night Force faction, and then Road Pig will be joining the Dreadnoks. So those are the 2 new characters that'll be joining the cast of this G.I. Joe series going forward in the next couple of months. Now, the Dreadnought War is going to be a bi-weekly series, so it'll be coming out twice a month. So you get 2 issues a month for 6 issues. So it'll be November, December, and January. For the winter, you'll be getting the Dreadnought War. And so then that is going to be really cool. I look forward to that. They're building on a lot of stuff that they've done in the previous miniseries and things like that, and building on some of these characters like Cobra Commander, Duke, the Dreadnoks, and so on and so forth. And then we'll see where that leads us to with the subplots with the Transformers and G.I. Joe crossover at some point. But that brings us to our next series, the newest issue of Transformers, issue 25. And there's a boatload of variant covers on this. Look at all these variant covers that came with this issue. Let's see, it says collect all these exciting covers. So cover A is done by David Nakayama. Cover B is Daniel Warren Johnson and Mike Spicer. Cover C is Jorge Corona and Mike Spicer. Cover D is Kil Nyun, and then cover E is Dan Mora and Andre Juarez. And cover F is a foil cover by Jay Lee and Jun Chung. Cover G is a blank sketch variant. Cover H is a blank sketch variant. Cover I is another foil cover by David Nakayama of the first A cover, and then die cut cover is cover J by John Armour and Andres Juarez, and cover K is another die cut cover by Eric Canet. So those are all your variant covers of Transformers issue 25. Now with issue 25, Robert Kirkman takes over the writing chores from Daniel Warren Johnson's historical 24 issue Eisner Award winning run on Transformers. And this issue is done by Robert Kirkman, Dan Mora, Jorge Corona, and Mike Spicer. And it's got a cool DNA cover, and that's what that foil cover is going to be of this one as well. So the first story in issue 25 is Megatron going to his factions. And again, there's more spoilers in this, so make sure if you're not interested in hearing spoilers, you click off this video and then you get all the comics first, and then come back and watch this episode. So Megatron has survived his battle with the powers that be, and he escapes and he finds his way back to his Decepticon factions, and he has to take over leadership of the Decepticons. So this first story is him doing that, and you can see him all damaged and shrapneled and everything like that, and he's fighting through to get to his headquarters, to get the leadership of the Decepticons, and he lets them know that he excuse me, in no certain terms, that he is back and he's in charge again, and that they need to follow his lead. And so they do. um, and so there you go. And he takes out Starscream, uh, and he says, "You disgust me," there, with Starscream on that page. And that makes sense because they don't get along very well. And so he says, through domination, oppression, and conquest, that he will achieve his goals. So, and it says, "All hail Megatron," right there. So there you go. So that's the first story. Then it leads into our lead story. Um, and then the next page, you see the life of, I guess it's Starscream. He's not dead yet. There's a flicker in his light there with his eye. So he's not finished yet with Megatron or the Decepticons. And then we get our primary storyline, which takes place after all the stuff that Daniel Warren Johnson did in the previous 24 issues, with Optimus Prime trying to clean things up and get the team back together and help the humans and stuff like that. And I love this new art. This new artist is fantastic. It's really beautiful colors. And you see the Decepticons are not finished. Soundwave attacks and goes after Optimus Prime, and they still have to fight to keep their composure and keep the humans at safety. And so then there's a scene with Ratchet where he goes into a cave where the ship Teletran 1 and the Ark was, and in the cave there's a bit of a hieroglyphic of a dinosaur in the cave. So again, there are spoilers in this issue. And then this general wants to have Optimus Prime join him, and he gives him a couple of inside things that the government has been keeping tabs on the Autobots for a lot longer than we think. And so he shows him two Transformers that are kind of hidden in a base, and one was under the bottom of the ocean, and one was in a cave. And both of them are, looks like Mirage and Hoist, maybe, or maybe Ironside. Maybe that's Ironside and Mirage. I can't really tell who that is. It says the green one was found in the pyramids of Guatemala in 1906, and then the blue one was found at the bottom of the ocean in 1936, and it took them till 1984 to get them out. So I think that's Ironhide, but he's in green, and then Mirage, which is in blue there, and talks about how much they've been mining energon, and they have a store of energon saved up to help the Autobots if they join forces with them. And then it shows a secret person that's been handling most of this stuff with the Transformers over the years, and the leader of this covert mission, and his name is Miles Mayhem. The adversary of Mask, a leader of Venom, joins or is part of the military. And so, and then he says to Optimus Prime, I think we're going to get along exceptionally well, Optimus Prime. And he says, pleased to meet you. So then there's little scenes of things coming up in the future. Where it has the Decepticons attacking them. It has Globulus there, and it has somebody screaming, "Where did we go?" So some of these characters are in space, and they may have to do with the Quintesson War with Globulus. And then it goes to Cybertron, and it's Alita 1 here, and she's upset at Optimus Prime that he has abandoned them on Cybertron, and she considers him the enemy now, and she is not happy with Optimus Prime. And he said he's no longer our ally; he is now our enemy. And so you have Alita 1 stating that. And there's a bunch of Autobots on Cybertron there with her. And so that is the end of that issue. And then there's a character spotlight, and then there's a little preview of Cobra La, creator spotlight, again on the Energon experience right there. So those are all of the recent issues. I'm not going to go too far ahead on these. So probably periodically, maybe once a month, I'll do a deep dive and we'll go over the month's issues with you guys. But I don't want to go too far in advance because I don't want to spoil things coming up for the Dreadnought War, the Quintessons War, and the new Transformers series that far. But I wanted to show a lot of the cool things that are going on right now in Skybound and G.I. Joe. And I hope that all of you guys are interested in Skybound and G.I. Joe comics and Transformer comics and Void Rival comics. They're doing a fantastic job. I'm looking forward to a lot of the future things that are happening with it. I like the fact that they're kind of bringing in new characters and new ideas and things like that as well. There's been some news reports recently, so this isn't a spoiler, but people should be aware that the rumored animated adult Energon universe animated series has been developed through Skybound, similar to what they did with Invincible's animated series on Amazon. So they're shopping it around right now. They have a producer. They've got a team working on it. So they would like to do it. So there's a lot of rumors whether they'll go to Amazon since they already have Invincible there, or they might go to Netflix because Netflix has been doing a lot of these 80s revival animated series like Masters of the Universe, Thundercats, She-Ra, and Transformers already. So G.I. Joe would be in line with all that they've already done. So it is going to be an adult series, so it will not be for the faint of heart and children per se. So I think that's going to be awesome that they're doing that. I think it's a good idea that they're doing that, and I look forward to it. So keep an eye out for those news reports, and I will give you as much information as I get it in these comic book reports. We'll be doing again probably one a month, every month now. So I thank you guys, Terrence Childs, and everybody who are watching in the chat. I also want to say thank you to everybody that watches these episodes after the fact. So I have a interview this afternoon with the author of Fighting for Freedom, the Unauthorized G.I. Joe Chronology, James McFadden, this afternoon around 2 o'clock. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to get all the notifications for upcoming episodes. We would really like you guys to start sharing these out because we're getting on to our 200th episode very shortly. And I'd like to kind of get more people involved in this. We do have a really good core group of people that are in the chats and that are on the episodes on a regular basis, which I love. I appreciate you guys asking questions, getting involved, and being there on those. But I would like to broaden this out a little bit further and deeper if we can. So if you could share these videos out, that really is going to help us out. It's going to help the algorithm with YouTube as well. So I think that does it. Unless there are any questions in the chat, you guys want to ask anything? Any parts of these comics? Transformers 25, G.I. Joe number 12, or G.I. Joe issue 321. Anything? Okay. All right, so then that's going to do it for us on this episode of G.I. Joe Comics, New News Comics Review. We will see you next time. Yo, Joe!